Hi, everyone. Welcome to the June 2021 HMIS user meeting. If you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat box so we know who is participating. We have quite a few topics for you today. We have a staff update as well as an update on the agency access policy. We're going to share the 2021 HIC and sheltered pit data. We have some guidance on profile merges, as well as a client grievance overview, some training on CES referrals and reports, an update on the monthly training webinar and agency audits, and then we're going to wrap it up with the data and performance management meeting agenda, as well as a reminder about the upcoming holiday, and some Q&A at the end if needed. So first up, we have a new HMIS data analyst on our team. Her name is Heather Good, and she is getting all trained up right now. So when you do come in contact with her, she'll be working on help desk tickets soon. When you see her, please make her feel welcome. We also have another HMIS data analyst that will be starting this month, and we will be introducing in July. I'm just checking to see if any questions have come in so far. Nope. Okay. Okay, so the agency access policy, we've been talking about this for a couple months now. The agency access policy was approved by the COC board in May. And what that policy states is that if an agency receives funding that requires HMIS participation, they will automatically be given access to HMIS. Also, if an agency has a project that houses clients, homeless clients, so that would be emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, or permanent housing projects, all of those agencies will also be automatically set up in HMIS because they increase bed coverage for our COC. So those will be automatically accepted, allowed in HMIS. If the agency does not meet either of those criteria, the agency will need to submit an agency access application, which they'll submit through us, and then we will be giving it to the agency access working group for them to review the application and determine whether or not that agency should have access to HMIS. So most of the agencies in HMIS now are okay. They meet either one of the criteria that I mentioned. There are maybe 10-ish that do not. So those agencies will need to submit the agency access application. So what's happening now is we are working on creating the agency access application using the feedback from the COC board on the type of things they wanted to be able to see. We're also working with HCA to create the agency access working group, which is the body that will be making this decision on access. And then also part of this policy is that agencies participating in HMIS have kind of minimum participation requirements, meaning that they have active users, they are entering enrollments, and making updates to HMIS on a regular basis. So we will be working on that as well to kind of audit HMIS and make sure that's happening. What we're trying to avoid is agencies that have access to HMIS but are only using it to review like client historical information. They're not actually contributing data, so that's what we're trying to avoid. Once the application is developed, we will reach out to those agencies that need to complete the application and give them more information. The policy the application will probably be ready sometime this month. Applications probably won't be reviewed until July at the earliest, because the working group still needs to be formed. And we will include in the minutes the access policy that was approved by the COC board for your reference. And if you are interested in who has access to HMIS now, there is a report on our website. Let me pull that up really quick. This is slower than normal. So if you want to see a list of agencies who have access to HMIS now, you can go to our website, ochmis.org. Under the About section, click on Agencies with Access to HMIS. And this will give you a list of who those agencies are. It's just loading because it's coming straight from Looker. And then you can, if you want to have a print format, you can either do plain text or Excel by clicking on those links. So there you go, there are your agencies. All right. Any questions about this? All right, I'm not saying anything, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, so as many of you know, we've been working on the HIC and sheltered pit for months now. So just to give you a quick overview of what those are, the HIC is the housing inventory chart, and the sheltered pit is the point in time count. They're submitted to HUD on an annual basis, and they're completed on a single night during the last 10 days of January. This year, we chose January 25th. So the HIC reflects beds available in Orange County that target homeless clients, and the sheltered pit reflects the number of clients active in emergency shelter or transitional housing projects on that night. Every other year, there is also an unsheltered pit, so that's a count of clients that are sleeping on the streets or somewhere else that's not a house situation. Could be a car, could be an RV, a tent. But because of COVID, HUD canceled the unsheltered count for this year, so we only have the sheltered count. So this first chart is just looking at total beds in our whole COC for all the different project types. And we have the data from the past 3 years. So you can see how our bed counts have changed for each project type. And overall, we have a little under 7,000 beds in our COC, which is a little over 100 bed decrease from 2020. And a lot of the reason for that is because some projects had to decrease their capacity due to COVID. So that's why the bed count went down. I think next year, once capacity is able to go back up, or whenever capacity is going to be able to go back up, we'll have more beds. Even with that decrease in capacity, we did have an increase in emergency shelter year-round beds. And that's continued year over year due to more funding coming into our COC. We had a big dip in emergency seasonal beds. This is due to the Armory had to cut back on a lot of beds due to COVID, and also one of the Armory locations closed. So that's why that dip. We're continuing to see a decrease in transitional housing. This is mostly due to changes in funding allocation and other project types being prioritized. And then we're staying fairly consistent in rapid rehousing. And keep in mind, rapid rehousing beds are reported based on those that were active on the night of the HIC and pit. So there's always going to be some variation in this number. And then we're having slight increases in permanent supportive housing and staying fairly consistent in other permanent housing. So this chart is looking at, of those beds I just showed you, what the allocation is by household type. So you can see for emergency shelter projects, most of those beds are for adults only. And then for rapid rehousing and transitional housing, most of those beds are for children and adults. And then for permanent supportive housing and other permanent housing, it's a little more equally distributed between both household types. And only transitional housing and emergency shelter have child-only beds. This screen is looking at special population beds. So these are chronically homeless beds, veteran beds, youth beds, and domestic violence. And on the left, you can see the total number of each of those beds in our COC. And then on the right, you can see the distribution of those beds by project type. So all chronically homeless beds are located in permanent supportive housing, which makes sense. Most veteran beds are also in permanent housing projects, although there are some in rapid rehousing and transitional. Most of the youth beds reported are also in permanent supportive housing. The rest are in rapid rehousing. And then about half of the domestic violence beds are in emergency shelter. And then there are some also in rapid rehousing and transitional housing. And you can see here, of the special population beds, veteran beds are the most common, followed by chronically homeless beds. All right, so now transitioning to the PIT. So this is clients in emergency shelters and transitional housing. Again, you can see the breakdown from the past 3 years for the 3 different household types. So from 2019 to 2021, we reported less adult-only house or clients, and we also had a little bit of a decrease with adults and children. And overall, our point-in-time count decreased by 576 people from 2020 to 2021. And this is related to, number one, the decrease in capacity for emergency shelter projects, but also during COVID, some projects have found clients are less willing to stay in their shelters because of their concerns with COVID. So that's also contributed to the decrease in the PIT count. On the screen, you can also see the numbers broken down by SPA, which are the regions in our COC. So we have North, Central, South. And then within each SPA, you can see the breakdown by project types. So most of the clients were located in North SPA, and most of those were in emergency shelter beds, followed by Central and then South SPA. So we also looked at racial disparity for the clients on the point-in-time count. So this top chart is showing the percent breakdown of clients by race in the point-in-time count, and the bottom is the percentage breakdown from the last census. And so what you can see, so what we're doing is comparing the population from the point in time to the population of Orange County as a whole and seeing where it differs. So American Indian or Alaska Native clients, Black or African American clients, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander clients, and white clients all are more prevalent in the point-in-time population than they are in the Orange County population. But of all of those, Black African American clients are much more prevalent in the point in time count than they are in the OC population. On the flip side of that, you can see that 21% of the Orange County population are Asian, are reported as Asian, while only 3% are in the point in time count. So it seems that Asian residents in Orange County are less likely to become homeless than other races. So the last thing on the point in time count I wanted to share is special population breakdown of clients. And you can again see the year over year numbers for your reference. For the past 3 years, we've had very few chronically homeless families, which is great, but you can see those numbers here. Veterans has been increasing a little bit every year. And the reason that the numbers continue to increase this year is because HUD released new guidance that veterans in SSVF projects that were not in rapid rehousing but were receiving emergency assistance needed to be counted on the PIT, which was a new requirement this year. So that caused the veteran numbers to go up. You can see youth clients are trending down a little bit. Chronically homeless individuals kind of tend to fluctuate every year. Seniors are maintaining pretty consistent, and domestic violence is increasing a bit. And keep in mind that clients can be counted in multiple categories here, because most of these are not exclusive, or all of these are not exclusive except, well, yeah, all of them. So clients can be counted more than once in these categories. I have a question. Do you have a breakdown on white race percentage that are Hispanic? We can get the breakdown for that, but we don't have it in these slides here. But yes, we do have that. And this is the last slide that I have for the PIT. We do have a full HIC overview and PIT overview. It includes these charts as well as a few others that I didn't include today. We'll include those in the minutes for your reference if you want to look into those details more. Any questions? All right, Diana.
Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to go over some trends that we're seeing in the help desk tickets. We've been receiving a lot of client profile merge tickets, and we know that this is due in part to the CES data migration and also to the ERA applications that are coming in. And so we wanted to give everyone sort of a heads up and a best practices regarding client profile merges, because we've sort of been all over the map with different requests that have come in. So first and foremost, we want you to verify the client profiles are the same client. When we get in these requests, we only can verify the information that we see in HMIS. We don't have the background information that you'll have. So it's important to make sure that these profiles are the same person and are the same client for the merge. The next tip is to copy and paste the client ID. We've had to go back and forth a lot with agencies regarding client IDs not being correct. So best practice is to do the copy and paste to make sure that the information is correct and what you're sending us is correct. Also, we would like you to indicate which client profile is primary and which profile is to be merged. So in our sort of world, the client profile that is primary is the dominant one. It's the one that has the most complete information as far as demographics and also as far as program enrollments. So we need to know which one is the primary and which one is sort of the secondary profile that needs to be merged. So if you could make that clear by stating which is primary and which is merged, that will help us greatly. Next, I want to sort of give you a reminder that the program and assessments are not merged. So for example, if you have a client that has 2 profiles and they have 2 active enrollments, once they're merged, they will have 2 active enrollments on their profile. So you'll need to figure out which program you need to end date or which one is sort of not necessary for the client. The same is true for the assessments. So you can have, you know, 2 assessments that are for, say, when we're talking about the ERA applications, you could have 2 assessments that are dated within several days of each other. So in that case, we ask that you let us know which assessment you want to keep and which one you want us to remove. And finally, for the merge, we want you to know that the merge is permanent. We have no way of undoing a merge once it's completed on our end. And so if a client profile was merged in error, we would have to go ahead and recreate the 2 profiles separately. We wouldn't be able to undo those merges. And so that's about it as far as the profile merges. And as with all help desk tickets, we ask that you provide as much information as possible. You know, too much information is a good thing for us. So like I said, verify the client profiles are the same, copy and paste the client ID, indicate which client profile is primary and which one is to be merged. Please note that the programs and assessments are not merged. And finally, that the client profile, when it is merged, it is permanent. Okay, and that's it for me.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to keep on going. Client grievances, Elizabeth?
We've been receiving increasing numbers of calls from clients regarding records and questions about services. So we wanted to give a quick overview of client grievances. During intake with a client, case managers are encouraged to thoroughly review the OC HMIS consent and privacy notice with the client. So if a client believes their PPI is incorrect, we advise that they work with their agency staff to make those corrections. And if a client requests a copy of their HMIS record, we also advise that an agency staff reviews the records with the client so they can fully understand the information collected and what that information looks like in HMIS. If a client feels like their rights outlined in the OC HMIS consent has been violated, the client should first file an internal grievance with their provider first. Once the client believes that they have exhausted the grievance procedure with the provider, the client will then fill out the OC HMIS grievance form with 211 OC.
All right. We have a question. What is the HMIS record? Is there a way we can extract their record? Yes, so that's actually something that we're working on right now. The record is pretty much all of their data in HMIS. Right now on the profile screen, there are different client reports that you can pull. If a client requests information on their client record, we're also working on a process, because you may not be able to pull data on all of their enrollment history from the different agencies. So we're working on a process where if they want to see everything, you can submit a ticket to us, and then we will pull the data for you and send it to you so that you can share with them. So that is upcoming. For now, you can either pull the reports from the client profile screen, or you can submit a ticket to the help desk and we can help you pull that data out of HMIS. All right, I'm not seeing other questions. Continue on, Elizabeth.
So for the next section, we wanted to review CES referrals to the community queue. All referrals must be submitted by the County of Orange or Family Solution Collaborative and not by the agency. So what you'll need to do is switch your agency access to the appropriate coordinated entry agency. County of Orange is for individuals and FSC is for families. And you can see in our example right there that we have access to either or. You would have access to either County of Orange or Family Solution Collaborative. That's based on the projects your agency currently operates. And when you're under one of those coordinated entry agency, that's where you'll be completing the VSPEDA assessment and also submitting the referrals to the community queue. So please make sure that you're switching your access so you can send the client to the community queue.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions.
So we also wanted to go over some helpful CES reports. These reports are available under the Data Analysis tab, and you can find it under the section labeled Orange County Clarity System Reports. The VSPEDA data by access point provides information about the VSPEDA assessment data entered for households entered in the coordinated entry projects. And the household added to community queue provides a list of households that are added to the community queue during the reporting period. And the pending household matched to a housing opportunity report provides a list of households that have been matched to an opportunity at an agency, but has not yet been enrolled in the project. It also includes length of time they have been matched. And for clients denied housing opportunity, it provides a detailed reason why a household was denied a housing opportunity. We also have a list of additional coordinated entry reports that we will link in our meeting minutes. You can find that in our knowledge base article.
All right, I'm looking to see for any questions. Also, just to add, at I think last month's data meeting, I was talking to the group about upcoming projects for the HMIS team and what's most important to the group to be resolved first. One of the things that came up was coordinated entry report training. So we are going to be looking into that, but also wanted to make everyone aware of reports that are already available now for you to run. Elizabeth pulled out the reports that she thought might be of the most use to access points or housing providers, but there's a whole list of coordinated reports on our knowledge base, which she mentioned she will link in the meeting minutes, but please check that out also, because something you're looking for may already exist. And if it doesn't, please submit a help desk ticket, and we're happy to work on that for you. But yes, these are some reports to get you started.
And we want to say thank you to everyone who participated in our training in May. We cover agency admin and data quality. The recorded training and slides are available on our website. And if you get a chance, please fill out our survey so we can get your feedback to improve our trainings. For this month, we will be covering HMIS Part 2 training, and it will be held June 24th at 10. We will be covering the functionality of Clarity and going over some of the functions that you would do in the skill test.
Linda.
So as mentioned in our last user meeting, the 2021 HMIS agency audits will begin this month. We will be sending out emails to schedule your audits this week. So please be on the lookout for these emails, and please be sure to respond back as it is required to schedule your audit. And we look forward to hearing from everyone. So the data performance and management meeting this month, we will be going over the DV task force field request, and then also the data.
Uh-oh. Linda. Linda. All right, I'll pick it up for you, Linda. So for this month, the Data and Performance Management Committee meeting will be on June 10th at 1:30. We'll be covering the DV Task Force field request. We did talk about this a few months back, but we provided feedback to that committee, and they have a new field to request for the group. We're also going to be talking about the data quality plan, as well as the transitional housing project performance reports, which will be sent out to the agencies early next week. Also the meeting link is here on the slide, and they will also be in the meeting minutes for the data and performance management meeting. And we will also send the link in the same email that we release the transitional housing project performance reports. Linda, are you back?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, the help desk will be closed on Monday, July 5th for Independence Day. So we will be back in the office to answer all your HMIS questions on Tuesday, July 6th. Have a safe and wonderful holiday.
All right, so that was all of our agenda items for today. We do have some time for Q&A if anyone has any questions they would like to go over as a group. We'll give you a couple minutes to type in your question in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself if that's easier for you. And if we don't get any questions, then we'll wrap up the meeting. If you haven't already, please enter your name in the, or enter your agency name in the chat box, so that we know who is participating. All right, we did get a couple questions. Will the agency audits be remote again this year? Yes, we will be following the same agency audit process that we did last year. So for those that don't remember or maybe are new, we send out a form to the agencies to complete prior to the meeting. And then we schedule like a Zoom meeting to go over that form with you and make sure that your agency is in compliance with the policies and procedures. So it normally includes, do all of your user computers have a locking screensaver? Who are the active users that you have in HMIS, and is that still accurate? Something else that we're adding is which agencies or which users have access to your agency in HMIS, because we do have some collaborations. The other part is which agencies do your users have access to in HMIS. We also cover, are there postings at all of your locations where client intakes are completed, that kind of thing. So we will send you the form early, so you'll have at least a couple weeks to review and complete it. A lot of the work is done by the agency administrators prior to the meeting, since it is a remote session. And we're happy to answer questions or help you if you run into issues. And also, just to be clear, the audits are not just in June. They'll pretty much be going through the whole rest of this year. We're trying to spread them out a bit to kind of ease the burden on us as well as on all of you. But they're starting in June. All right. Any other questions? It could be anything on this meeting, or if there's a burning question about something else that you would like to go over, we can do that now. All right, while I wait, I'm going to tell you when the next meeting is. The next HMIS user meeting is scheduled for July 7th at 10. We'll send out the agenda the week prior to the meeting, as well as the meeting link. We will be posting the meeting minutes, the recording, and the slides from this meeting, and it will probably get sent out to all of you early next week. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the meeting. Thank you all so much for attending, and we will see you next month. Have a great day, everyone.